more seconds, but I believe we are on time, and I would like to officially start this meeting today. I welcome our audience. We're looking forward to another exciting meeting. Christian Boyce is going to be the presenter, and looking forward to meaningful get-together, wonderful information, useful, I think, for all of us. So, before I forget it, and maybe Mike will say something along these lines also. Next Wednesday, we have an important meeting. It's the annual meeting of our members. That's where the board will issue a report on this past season. We'll also talk about the present and the future. And we need to get also a reaction from you, the members, how we're doing and what we should be doing, in your opinion, should do differently, maybe better, and so forth. So we're looking forward to an exciting meeting. There are two votes that I ask you to consider. One is for re-election of a board member at Evans, and the other one is we have reduced the size of our bylaws and adjusted them to reflect that we have become a virtual organization. And so that's very important for our membership to improve. So again, next Wednesday is a very important meeting, and I'll pass the baton on to Mike to make his announcements. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eckhart. As usual, I have a number of announcements to make before we hand the meeting over to Christian. Very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the planet today, and wherever you are, I hope it's warmer than it is here. First of all, as usual, I've forgotten, I'll be introducing a new thread on the message board in a few moments, specifically tied to today's meeting. So if you have any questions or comments about Christian's meeting today, after the meeting, please use that thread on the message board. As I'm sure most of you know by now, our 2025 classes are now available for booking. Please take a look at them on the NMUG website. There's a fantastic array of classes running through January, February, and half of March next year. Excuse me. For those of you who haven't attended NMUG classes before, these are much, much larger events than our weekly meetings. They run 2.5 hours. They come with complete sets of notes for everybody who participates. So there's a lot of learning around to be done at the moment for things like the new operating systems and stuff, and all of that could be picked up during our class season. So please do visit the classes page on the website. We have a special meeting coming up very soon now, Saturday, December the 14th at 10 o'clock in the morning, when Dan and I will be talking about the website and most particularly the message board. So if you are inexperienced at using the message board, if you need a bit of insight into how to get the best out of the message board, if you need a bit of hand-holding to get around the website and deal with things like dues, Saturday morning, 10th of December, Saturday morning, 14th of December will be the time that we can cover all of that. There'll be lots of time for questions at that time. Just in case you're looking for the odd, wonderful Christmas present for somebody, Dan has now made gifting an NMUG membership available to you. And if you would like to do that for anybody, all you need to do is make sure you're signed in, click on your name in the top right-hand corner of the site, go down to gift a membership, and then you just pay your $30 and the wonderful NMUG website will look after you. Should have done that earlier, sorry. So as Eckhart just said, our next meeting is the annual general meeting. Several of us will be talking about how things have been going through the past year, some quite major changes in some cases to the way that we move through the year with massive changes to the website particularly. And also we'll be talking about what lies ahead and what we have planned for the next 12 months. So that's same time, same place next week. Today's meeting, Before I pass you to Sheeta to introduce Christian, can I just say I'm particularly pleased to see Christian today because he's actually demonstrating something that isn't going to cost me any money, um, which makes a fabulous change. And I thank you for that. With that, I will stop my share and hand you to Sheeta. Thank you.
Well, the presentation isn't over yet, Mike. So
Well,
you don't know that, yes. And I want to say I am so happy Lynn got her charger. She loves it. I love it. Those are the greatest little chargers that we demoed in the gift guide presentation. Thank you, Lynn.
Yes, I was very
Uh,
happy. Thank you.
you're quite welcome. Thank you very much. All right, Christian. What can I say about you? Everybody loves you. We love you. We're happy to have you. And thank you for everything that you do for us. And with that, that's enough. We're going to hand it over to Christian. Christian, all yours.
Okay, well, as usual, I'm going to start off by saying it's great to be here. So I do enjoy these sessions, and thanks to Eckert for running things, and Sheeta for doing what you do, and Mike for all the other stuff that you do, and Dan for helping me out. By the way, appreciate that. So, just to refresh your memory, if you have questions during our session today, put them in the chat, and Sheeta will, at the right time, interrupt and say, this is a question we need to answer. So I'm not going to watch the chat because it's too hard to do, but I will pay attention to Sheeta. If you just cut in, Sheeta, like you always do, it works out great. Okay.
I got you covered. All right.
Okay. So what are we doing today? Well, first of all, I have to say that today I get to play with a little bit of a new toy. I have foot pedals that are sort of like the pedals on a piano, and they allow me to switch different scenes. And the scene I'm going to switch to right now by pressing with my heel is to switch to showing Keynote and me. So if you see me squirming around, it's because I'm not good at hitting those foot pedals without squirming. So it's sort of like keyboard shortcuts but for my feet, because I ran out of shortcuts for my hands. All right, well, so what are we talking about today? We are talking today about, now why do I see someone else broadcasting? It seems strange.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that was John, right? Yeah. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about shortcuts. Shortcuts on the iPhone. And my goal today is to first introduce you to this app, and second, to have you able to actually use the app yourself to make your own shortcuts. So you can't learn everything in an hour and 10 minutes, but you can learn enough to get started. So that's my goal. It's a big goal, but you're a smart group. So let's see what happens here. All right. So first of all, what is shortcuts? It can be a little bit confusing because the app is called Shortcuts, and the things you make are also called shortcuts. So when it's capitalized, it's going to refer to the app, and I'll be really careful to say the Shortcuts app when that's what I'm referring to. So what is a shortcut, though? If you're going to use the Shortcuts app to make shortcuts, what is a shortcut? Well, as I say here, it's a set of actions or a set of steps that build on the power of possibly multiple apps to do what you want. So you can think of it like this. It's not the sort of app that you use all the time. It's not like, say, Mail or Safari or Messages that you use and use and use. This is an app that you use to build something, and the thing that you build is what you use all the time. And it's sort of like this. If Christmas is coming, if I gave you all a hammer and a saw for Christmas presents, they just sit there, right? They just sit there. And one day you're going to decide that you want to make a table or a shelf, and you're going to use those tools to make the table or the shelf. Then you'll put the tools away, but you'll use the table and the shelf every day. So this is sort of how Shortcuts is. You use them, use the Shortcuts app as a tool to make things that you will use every day. So it turns out that Shortcuts began its life on the phone. It's been around in another form. It was called Workflow. It's been around since, I think, 2014. Apple bought it, and they at first just gussied it up a little bit, made sure it worked right. They didn't quite finish that job. It doesn't always work right, but they put it on the iPad, and they've even put it on the Mac. Well, I can't cover everything in one shot here, in one hour here, but it turns out that talking about it on the iPhone is really the way to go anyway, because if you learn how it works on the iPhone, you'll know how it works on the iPad. And the truth is that it was a late addition to the Mac, and it doesn't really work all that well on the Mac. It's not as robust. So it works, but it can't do as many things as on the phone. So learning it on the phone is the way to go. So once you get that down, you'll be able to move to the iPad, and then you can experiment with the Mac. So as I say, we'll focus on the Shortcuts app on the iPhone. Now, according to Apple, if you go to Apple's website and you look around, you'll find that they define a shortcut here, and they say get one or more tasks done with your apps. Well, okay, multiple steps, yes. So I agree with that. So in this example, they're stringing together information from a website and from maps and from music. So that's okay. That's nice. And here they talk about the actions. Now, actions are the steps, the building blocks that we use to string together to build a shortcut. So in this case, we see 3 actions. One step is to grab the latest photos, the last 5 photos. The next step is to make a GIF out of them, and the next step is to send it. And that would all happen at the touch of one button. All those steps would happen. So every shortcut is built out of actions. It doesn't really matter that they're called actions. It's just their steps, okay? And it turns out that Apple knows that giving somebody a big pile of wood and a hammer and a saw is not enough. They've got to give you some examples. So they give you a lot of examples in this Shortcuts gallery, which is inside the Shortcuts app. And I'll show you that. Now, personally, I think that shortcuts are a rather personal thing. So what works for one person might not be exactly right for you. So what we need to do here is learn about what shortcuts can do, and then you have to think and imagine what you would like it to do for you. So I have a few shortcuts that I use all the time, and they're really great. And they're only right for me, okay? They're not right for anybody else. The ideas might be close, but they're not exactly right. So you have to dream up what you want to do. Okay, so let's start with an example. Now, this is a real-life example. So I had a friend who married a fellow, and he would never tell her when he was coming home. He would just show up when he'd come home from work, and it made it hard for her to plan meals and things. So I had this idea that I could make him a shortcut that would figure out where he is, figure out how long it would take him to get home using the Maps app, and then text that information to his wife, all with one button. I thought, if he can push one button, I can save this marriage. All right, so why don't we see what that looked like? So this is the Shortcuts app, and the button I made for him is this one, or something like that anyway. And he had to tap that button, okay? And the steps look like this. And I'm going to show you not just pictures of this. We're actually going to build this. So the first action, you can see it says get driving time from his current location to wherever the address was, and then send that information to his wife, and I blurred that out there. Okay, so let's build it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try to build this thing together. So I'm going to show you, first of all, my screen. So here's my iPhone screen that this is live.